Welcome everyone. My name is Dori. As Bernadette said, I also would say a few words, but I begin in the beginning, not only in the end. So, these are beloved Master Sirio. As Bernadette said, he came from Italy to England to do this program to you in England. And yeah, I would like to say a few words about the practice which we do. And just to begin with, I would like to say sorry for my accent. I'm not English, but I'm sure that you understand me well. And I just would like to say that what Master is offering to the people, it's always motivated by love, free of charge, like a spiritual gift, like as his master, Satguru Ji Maharaj used to say that spirituality is like a free gift of nature, like water, air, and that's how he offers what he brings to you the same way, like a free gift. And therefore, I just advise you to be relaxed, open your heart, and just look into his eyes, because in our practice also there is, which is called darshan, which is looking into the eyes of each other, which is beyond words, because it is also said that in spirituality, the teachings arrive through words and beyond the words. And only 1/3 of the teachings do arrive through the words, and 2/3 do arrive through the eyes. Because as it is said that eyes are the windows of the soul, that's how a communication beyond languages, words, anything can happen. So just please lovingly look into the eyes of the Master and just receive what he's offering to you, because that's why he came, and I suppose that's why you came here. And a few words about the actual practice that we do. It's called Surat Shabd Yoga. It's also called Sanmat, but we prefer to use Surat Shabd Yoga because it's much more describing what the practice is about. And Surat means attention. Shabd means got into expression power that might manifest to us through our perception as inner light and inner sound, and yoga means union. So Surat Shabd Yoga means that when our attention unites with the God into expression power, which means that in meditation we try to contemplate on this inner light and sound, and of course we have our spiritual guide. In this case, Master Sirio is a very competent living master with 50 years of intense practice behind his back. And he had 2 masters in his life. The first one was, as I said, Satguru Ji Maharaj, by whom Master Sirio was initiated in 1973 in India, in Delhi. And unfortunately, Master Kirpal soon after this left the body in 1974 because he was very old at the time. He was 80 years old. And then after this, Master Sirio associated with one of the disciples of Satguru Ji, who took up the role of the master, who carried on his spiritual mission to give the teachings, offer the holy initiation to the people, and to bring them more near to God. And then this master was Satguru Ji, with whom Master Sirio had a very long, 20 years old story, relationship, till his death. And then, right in the beginning, as they met, Satguru Ji entrusted on Master Sirio to give initiation in his name, and Master Sirio became his first European representative. And that's how all this story began. In 1973, that Master Sirio took this trip to India to find his master, and he found him. And now he brought all this to us, all his love, devotion, dedication, and decades of spiritual practice, which he's offering to you to share with you this evening. So I wouldn't like to talk more. And thank you, Master.
Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here and speak to you this evening. It's very important to be open, to be present, to be attentive, because anything we do, if we do it with attention, being present, then it works. Then it conveys to us something. If we are in a place, sitting there, but our mind is elsewhere, then maybe nothing happens. And it's not because what is offered is valueless. It's because we are not attentive, simply. So try to be fully here. We are going to spend some time together. Let's be together. If I am here and you are elsewhere, then nothing will happen. So, spirituality is not something we believe in. It's something we have to try to experience. Otherwise, it's just words, just books, just philosophy, theories, theologies, doctrines. But if it doesn't bring us a change in life, if it doesn't really touch us deeply, then no use. It doesn't work. In my life, I've been deeply touched by this spiritual experience, the spiritual side of life, since, as Doris said, since I was 20. I went to India when I was 20, and looking for somebody to guide me further in this spiritual adventure. In 1972, when I was 19, I had a very powerful spiritual awakening, just spontaneous like this. And I wanted somebody to help me understand what was happening. I wanted somebody to guide me and tell me what to do further to keep progressing in that direction. So that's why in 1973 I went to India, and I went via land. I had all this long trip for a month, going through Italy, Greece, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India. So my attitude, it was not, the one who, let's say, finds it difficult to go listen a lecture. Maybe it's quite demanding something for somebody to go listen to a lecture just in the same town where one lives. I was ready to go to India, take all this very long trip in order to meet somebody that would change my life. That was my hope, that I would meet a master who would be capable of really touching me so deeply that my life would really change completely. And I must say I was very lucky, because after a few days I was in India, I was given the address of a master. I didn't know anything about this person. And I took this trip. I was in a certain place called Rishikesh. And from Rishikesh I went to Dehradun, where this master used to live. And this trip changed completely my perception of reality. So, when I started from Rishikesh, I was somebody with a certain perception of reality. When I reached Dehradun, I had a completely different perception. My consciousness was so expanded that I was just wondering, what's happening to me? What is this? So that's how I got into this. Then I met this person, many things happened, but the main thing it was this spiritual connection, this spiritual awakening that really transformed my perception of things, perception of myself and reality. So, this was the beginning of my spiritual quest, my spiritual adventure. Now this evening I would like to introduce you to what can be a spiritual experience. Maybe some of you have already had spiritual experiences and you know about it. It's not new to you. But when we meet in such situation as this, and we meet somebody who has had a concrete, real experience of this, then what, to me, to my understanding, what has to happen is that there is a plugging in. There is a transmission of some kind. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to sing a few songs, first of all. We can be good speakers, or we can be good singers. I'm more maybe of a good singer than a good speaker. So, to me, singing is a very powerful way of expanding the consciousness, awakening the consciousness, and raising your frequency, our vibratory system, our consciousness. So, in my practice, singing is a very important factor. And all of our meetings always begin with some few songs, because singing is the way of creating an atmosphere, opening up the receptivity, make it easier then to go deep into meditation. So, whenever I give a lecture, first I begin with a few songs. And these songs I'm going to sing to you, they are in Punjabi language, or maybe one in Urdu, which I'm going to sing. So please try to listen with all of your attention. Then we continue with the talking. I had a guru who was Sant Ajaib Singh, who was a very good songwriter. He wrote so many so-called bhajans, very beautiful ones with very beautiful melodies. So in those 20 years I associated with him, I learned so many of them, like 300. So, yeah, that's how many I know, more or less. I don't know them all by heart, but that's the number. So it's very important practice for my life. I hope you like it, I hope it involves you. So listen with all of your attention, try to be present, catch the wave and enjoy it. Guru, 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 bol prem se Guru, 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 bol prem se Guru, Guru, Bad bage manas tan paya, is kalab yutale. जितने नाम दिया सकता है उतने नाम दिया ले बाद बगे मानस तन पाया इसका लाभ युताले जितने नाम दिया सकता है उतने नाम दिया ले जितने सोया से गुरु 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 बोल प्रेम से गुरु गुरु जिसने फेरी साच मान से गुरु नाम की माला जितने वेद ब्रह्म ते मिट गए ऐसा हुआ जिसने फेरी साच मान से गुरु नाम की माला, जितने वेद ब्रह्म ते मित गाए ऐसा हुआ उजाला। गुरु नाम का अमृत पी ले, जीवन में रस घोल प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोल प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोल प्रेम से। गुरु गुरु तप शाप संताप मिटाता गुरु का पावन नाम, प्रेम भाव के भूखे सतगुरु कृष्ण का ओ या राम। ताप शाप संताप मिटाता गुरु का पावन नाम, प्रेम भाव के भूखे सतगुरु कृष्ण का ओ या राम। जब पल सिमरन में बीते वे पल अनमोल प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोल प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोल प्रेम से। गुरु गुरु याद किया जब भी भगतों ने नंगे पैरों दौड़ा आया, सारा जाग के दिन लगाया, सजा दिया दुर्बाल को सारा। केरे नाम की पावो कृपाल जी, आ जय बोरा बोलो प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोलो प्रेम से। गुरु 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 बोलो प्रेम से। गुरु गुरु So this one that comes now is, I think it's in Urdu. I'm not very experienced with it. And it's by Satsang He, my first master. एक दर्द मंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताऊं, क्या चीज है आओ तुम्हें सुनान। अब एक दर्द मंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताऊं, क्या चीज है मुहब्बत आओ तुम्हें सुनान। अफशाए राज़े उल्फत तावीने आशिकिए, अफशाए राज़े उल्फत तावीने आशिकिए, मिट जाए लब पहले की, मिट जाए लब पहले की, कियो नाम कलायन। एक दर्द मंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताएं, क्या चीज है मुहब्बत आओ तुम्हें सुनान। दुनिया से क्या गरज है दुनिया से पूछना, पूछता हूँ, मैं तुझसे पूछता हूँ, क्या चीज है वफा? एक दर्दमंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताएं, क्या चीज है मोहब्बत, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं। बीमार ने ये काकर फुरकत में जान दे दी, बीमार ने ये काकर फुरकत में जान दे दी, अब कौन राह देखे, अब कौन राह देखे, वो आयन या नायन। एक दर्दमंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताएं, क्या चीज है मोहब्बत, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं। मुझको जगाने वाले अब खुद भी जागते, मुझको जगाने वाले अब खुद भी जागते, मजबूर दिल की आए, मजबूर दिल की आए, कली गए न जायन। एक दर्दमंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताएं, क्या चीज है मोहब्बत, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं। एक दर्दमंद दिल की हालत तुम्हें बताएं, क्या चीज है मोहब्बत, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं, सुनाएं, आओ तुम्हें सुनाएं। And now comes another one, which is in Punjabi. Again, is by Guru Arjan. It's a very famous song. It's sang in all the gurdwaras all the time. Is several melodies. The melody which I'm using this evening is my own melody, which I gave to me. तू मेरा पीता, तू है मेरा माता, तू मेरा बंधुआ पे, तू मेरा भ्राता, तू मेरा पीता, तू है मेरा माता, तू मेरा बंधुआ पे, तू मेरा भ्राता, तू मेरा राका सब निताई, तब्बो खेले अकार जियो, तू मेरा राका सब निताई, तब्बो खेले अकार जियो, तुम मेरा पीता, तू है मेरा माता, तू मेरा बंधु पे, तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम्हारी खीरे पाते तुद पहचाना, तुम मेरी ओत, तू है मेरा माना, तुम्हारी खीरे पाते तुद पहचाना, तुम मेरी ओत, तू है मेरा appettu mera brata. Tude binna tuja avare na koi, sab tera kele akara jio. Tude binna tuja avare na koi, sab tera kele akara jio. तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता. जे जानते सब तुझे उपाय, जित जीते बाना तिते तितलाई. जे जानते सब तुझे उपाय, जित जीते बाना तिते तितलाई. तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता. सबकी चकीता तेरा होवे, नाई कीचे असारा जियो. सबकी चकीता तेरा होवे, नाई कीचे असारा जियो. तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता. नाम दिया ये मासु के पाया, हर गुण गाओ मेरा मन शीतलाया. नाम दिया ये मासुक पाया, हर गुण गाओ मेरा मन शीतलाया. तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता. गुरुपुरे बाजी बधाई, नानक जीता बिकार जियो. गुरुपुरे बाजी बधाई, नानक जीता बिकार जियो. तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता, तुम मेरा पिता तू है मेरा माता, तुम मेरा बंधु अप्पे तू मेरा भ्राता. So what is Guru Arjan telling us here? He says, you are my father, you are my mother, you are my friend, you are my brother. So that's the attitude that one has to have on the spiritual path if he wants to succeed. Otherwise it's just a waste of time. Means you have to make this your spiritual quest, and this your love for God, like the central part of your life, your everything. So in that case, this your beloved becomes your father, becomes your mother, your friend, your brother, your wife, your kid, your everything. So that's how we should relate to life. But putting this quest for truth and for spiritual realization at the very top of our life, at the very top of our interest. And for this we should do something concrete. We should do a spiritual practice daily that allows us to connect with this divine presence. This way, this is our love for God, this is our perception and experience of this divine reality becomes our own. It's not just somebody else telling us what it is. We will know it ourselves, because it will become our experience. We like so much to believe. We all believe in something. But belief doesn't take us anywhere. We may believe this, I may believe the opposite, but these are just opinions. It's not a personal experience of reality. A personal experience of reality comes only if you're lucky enough to meet somebody that awakens us spiritually and gives an initiation on a spiritual path, on a very definite spiritual practice, and we keep doing it. And daily we connect with this holy presence. Then this becomes part and parcel of our life. Otherwise it's just again being a Hindu, being a Sikh, being a Buddhist, a Christian, a Jewish, whatever. They just believe, rarely. They experience anything. So somebody who looks for truth, somebody who loves truth and wants to have an experience in his own life, her own life, will have to undergo a discipline, will have to take an initiation, undergo discipline, lead a very specific, oriented life, and do the spiritual practice. This way, you will know yourself what's all about. You won't need a priest, a monk, to tell you what's all about. You will know it yourself. You won't need to believe anybody. You will have your own experience. And I tell you, no one human being has the same experience of realities, the same as another one. Because we are all different. We are all unique. So also truth and God reveal to us in our own unique way. So you may believe anything, but it's not your experience. Remember, your experience, if you have it, will be different than anything you read about. So, you know about so many great beings who came in the past, and they taught something. They said, God is like this. That was my experience. But if you look at all these great people, they all express it in their own words, with different terms, with different concepts, different ways. There is no one that says the same thing. It's similar, but it's never the same. Christ, Buddha, Krishna, Guru Nanak, Kabir, whosoever, they gave a teaching which is similar, but it's never the same. And the experience that they reveal of coming in touch to truth and God, it is always slightly different. Because as I said, we are unique human beings. And God respects our unicity. And it comes to us in our own unique way. In that way that we may recognize, we may make it our own. So, I've been born a Christian. My mother was a very Catholic person, very devoted to the church and to the holy people of the church, and so on. So I was educated in this kind of tradition. But when I became like 13, 14 years old, I began analyzing this concept of God that Christians have, especially the Catholics. And I thought to myself, well, I can't believe in such a God that makes, this was one of the concepts which I really hit against. God creates human beings only for once. You're born once, and then according to your behavior, to the life you lead, you may go to heaven, You may go to purgatory or you may go to hell for eternity. So I thought, my God, a God that creates humanity, creates a human being, puts this person in a family, which maybe is not a good family, and he's not well educated. So he behaves crazily, and he makes a mess of his life. And then, above this, he dies and goes to hell for eternity. Such a God is more disgusting than me, I thought. Sorry. I'm much better. I wouldn't do such a thing. So, I went in a crisis with this belief. This was one of the main concepts, but there were so many others which I didn't like. So I thought, well, I refuse it completely. If there is a God I don't care about, I just live my life and try to understand what it's all about. And this, I was 13 or 14 years old when I came to this conclusion. So I became an atheist. Then I was involved with politics, because anyway I wanted to better this world, to make it a better place, to do something for this world and for humanity. So I got into politics, and for a while I was involved into it. But that was not really my story, because politics is like mathematics somehow. And especially certain kind of ideologies, they are dressed up as mathematics. So I'm not a good mathematician, so I didn't like politics eventually. So what to do? Where to look for something? There was 1972, just 50 years ago. So I thought, what do I do? Came to my hands some magazines, booklets about Indian philosophy, like Buddhism, Hinduism, and that told me something more about possibilities. I mean, you're not just born once, and for what you do in that life, you go to hell in eternity or to heaven. You have a chance to come back again and again, and maybe grow and improve, and eventually realize God, because this is the destiny of all human beings. So this I like much more. It was a possibility. It was an open something. It was a more just philosophy. More just way of looking at life. So I liked it. And I began to accept this. And I also met some nice people who were kind of philosophers. And they opened my mind somehow towards other possibilities. So I liked the idea, and so I began studying Indian philosophy. And eventually, one day, I was in a kind of turmoil inside of me, and I wanted to find peace. But my mind was very agitated, and thinking about life and what to do and where to go. So I thought, how do I find peace here? How do I get out of this and I find my peace as I was before I got into this spiritual quest? Because if you don't go into a crisis, you're never going to change. It's only a crisis that pushes you towards a change. And I went into a crisis because I like life as I used to live it before, but I had nothing concrete in my hands, which was my own. So I was in between. So on that state, I began repeating like a mantra. I didn't know anything about mantras at the time. But it was something like, God is love, everything is love, and I have to manifest this love in my life. It was something like this, not exactly the same, but that's how it was. So I began repeating this. And I began feeling good. And at some point it was like touching a spring inside of me, which projected me into a state of consciousness which was so bright. It was like seeing life for the first time with a magnifying lens and really seeing reality the way I never saw it before. And it was such a beatitude, such a peace, such an intoxication. And I really felt like being face to face with God. That's how I experienced it. Like seeing the truth. That's how I perceive God, like truth. like seeing life as truth, in its true phase for the first time. So that's how my life changed. Then I became so involved because I wanted to bring back that experience, which stayed with me for a while, but then of course it withdrew. So I began practicing yoga, meditation, and every possible thing in order to bring back that experience. I would have given my life to bring it back. So for 1 year, from 1972 to 1973, I went on practicing so many hours per day. Yoga, meditation, and I understood what is the mind. For the first time, I understood that I had an enemy inside of myself. Finding peace when the mind keeps roaming in its own thoughts. Very difficult. How to stop this mind? So in these books which I was reading, there were several techniques which I tried to apply. Sometimes I got near to that experience I had, but never quite the same. So in 1973 I thought, well, I go to India, see if I find somebody who helps me making something out of it. And I've been reading books by Sri Aurobindo. I don't know if you ever heard about his name. So I intended to go to Pondicherry and be in the ashram and see. At the time there was what was his successor, Mera, the mother, who was the guru at the time there. But somehow my destiny was different. So I went to India. I took all the long trip, as I said before, going through Italy and to Greece, Turkey, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan. And after a month, I reached India, which was in beginning of April 1973. And so I met people on the way who gave me some different indications. So eventually, instead of going south, I went north. When I reached India, when I was in Punjab, and funny enough, the first place I visited in India was the Golden Temple in Amritsar. And I had such a wonderful impression there. There were so many people, and so there was a big bandara, big feast, some kind of celebration. So there were so many people, and saw the water, and I had such a wonderful experience over there. I really like the atmosphere, and I really like the place. Very holy, really. And funny enough, after a week, I met a guru who was Sikh, coming from the Sikh tradition. And there was Satsang He, and that's in Dehradun where I met him, as I said before. So when I met this person, that experience which I had in 1972 came back, but came back with such an intensity, which was 10 times as much, I can say. The perception of God, or of this divine energy which I got after meeting with this master, it was so intense that I was continuously pulled inside, and I was meditating really the whole day. And when I had my first meditation with the presence of Sankir Pudsey, I didn't understand anything of what he said, because at the time I didn't speak any English. I went to India speaking Italian, I didn't speak any English. I couldn't understand anything, so it was not really being converted into something, into a belief system or into a philosophy or anything, because I couldn't understand anything. But it was just being spiritually caught in such a way that I couldn't resist it. I couldn't say, it's not true, it's not my own story, it's not my own way, it's not my guru. The very first things which came to my mind when I reached that place and I saw that person, it was that this is my path, this is my guru. And after 50 years, I can just repeat the same. So, I stayed with this person for 3 weeks, more or less. And he gave me initiation in this Surashab yoga, and it was such a powerful experience. It was just unbelievable. Then he told me, you go back to Italy and meditate. That's all you have to do. So I went back to Italy, and for 2 years, I just kept meditating all the time. I was meditating the whole day, because that's the only thing I could do. I would sit in meditation, hours would fly away, I was not aware of it. So the whole day went by with 3 meditation sittings. The day was gone. I went on like this for 2 years. And this was when I was 20, 21. Usually at that age, people do different things. They have different interests. But I couldn't do anything else. That's all I could do. Because, I tell you, meditation is difficult as far as you don't go within. Once you go within, then it's difficult to come out of meditation. That's how it works. And that's how it was with me. It was very difficult to leave meditation. It was so easy for me. I would just sit and just lose track of time and space. So, that's how it began with me. And this was 48 years ago. Then, Master Kripal in 1974 left the body. I went back in 1974 to India again, because there was this 80th year celebration, birthday. So he invited all his Western disciples to go. And we were some 500 of us going. So there was like 2 weeks meditation retreat, very intense, with all these 500 people, plus there were the many thousands of Indians. They came along, and yeah, there was a very intense, powerful spiritual experience. That was in 1974. Then I came back. Master Kripal died in August 1974. And then for 2 years I was looking for who to find that could help me the same way, with whom I could have the same spiritual connection. So there were a number of people who took up the guruship after Master Kripal left the body, but I visited some of them. I didn't feel the same connection. I didn't feel the same thing, same love, the same upliftment. Eventually I heard about somebody in Rajasthan who was called Satsang He, and I went to visit this person in February 1977. And with him I had again the same flow, the same opening up, the same upliftment, the same love. Really like finding, it was not like, because things never repeat the same way. It was not the same as with Sankirtan, but it was with a brother on the path like me, was much elder than me, and was much more advanced than I was. So there was falling in love with another brother of mine. And it was a very intense story, which lasted for 20 years. And he made me right away his Italian representative. And I gave initiation for him for 20 years. And I invited him to come to Italy on 4 occasions. I organized programs for him where there were hundreds of people. And I went to India and Rajasthan having programs with him every year, sometimes twice in a year. It was a wonderful story. Sometimes we are talking about gurus, fake gurus, painful stories with masters, because, you know, where there is a true master, there is also a fake one. So there are fake stories also, and sometimes painful ones. But I was very lucky. Master Kripal was a wonderful master, was a very powerful, was a very smart master. He had thousands of followers all over India, and he did his work so selflessly, so freely, giving out all this for 24 years of his life, going all over India, giving initiation to thousands and thousands of people, all free of charge. Satsang He did the same. Wherever he went, all his programs were for free. And also when he came to Italy, all these programs with hundreds of people. Other people who charged so much money for programs could have made so much money. He never asked for a penny. So we organized this program, so many people came and got the benefit. got uplifted, at least something happened in their life. And then also Santaji Singh left the body. He had given me this duty to start an ashram in Italy. So in 1979, I bought a place in Tuscany and gradually got transformed into an ashram where Santaji Singh came to give programs. And it's a very blessed place, it's a very nice energy there, very uplifting. And we keep having programs there, several programs during the year. People come, we have meditation, intense meditation retreats, and it is such a blessed event, each of these events. So that's my life, that's what I've done in my life. And that's what I understand to be a good life. A life which has a purpose, a life which takes you somewhere. Instead of a life in which you are just disoriented, going through it, not knowing where you're going, what you're doing. So to my understanding, the purpose of this life is realizing God. What is God? It's not somebody sitting there somewhere. It's this incredible power that has created and keeps creating all this manifested world. People talk about creation. I don't believe in creation. I believe this has always been there. It never started, it will never end. This divine being has always been there. This manifestation has always been there. This experience of coming into this world has always happened. So how to get out of it? That's the problem. We are going through lots of experiences in this life. What is the purpose of it? Why do we have to go through this? We have been emanating from a source. We have to return to that source. All the waters comes from the ocean. It goes into the air, eventually falls on the earth. It goes back to the ocean. That's our story. We are energy. We are spirit, consciousness. We have to go back to the cosmic consciousness, to the supreme consciousness. That's our destiny. If we cooperate, we make it easy. If we don't, we make it difficult. So we have to try our best to cooperate and make it easy for us. And we should not wait just for the end of this life to experience this unity, this coming together with the divine. That happens to everybody when we die. But we should try to experience it before, in order to make our life a divine life, instead of just a common burden life. So life acquires value when we have this divine perception. Otherwise we just live like animals, more or less. Animals also have a body, have senses, they enjoy their pleasures, more or less as we do. They can come in touch with their divinity. We human beings have this other potential. We have this capacity, this possibility of awakening the spirit within us. We have the possibility of experiencing something divine. So let's do it. Let's live this other side of life, which is what gives meaning and sense to all the rest. Otherwise, without this, all the rest is just nothing. So we should try to experience something divine in our life, to have a spiritual perception, a spiritual awakening. And how do we do it? We may be proud and say, I do it by myself, I do on my own. But let's be real. Very rarely there is somebody who is capable of doing it on his own. We need the head. Like in all the fields of life, there must be somebody that inspires us, teaches us, and guides us. So in my life, it has been so important to have this association with Satguru Pudsey and Satsang He. They have really saved my life. They have really given what's needed for a good life. Without them, I would be nobody. With them, I have become something. I have had a life which has been complete. I have experienced myself at the level of body. I have experienced myself at the level of mind, understanding intellectually what's all about life. And I've also had this wonderful divine spiritual perception. And without this, the other two would be nothing. With this, the other two become complete, become something great. So my message, if it has to be a message, is let's try our best not to live an ordinary life. Let's try to live an extraordinary life. Something really meaningful. Don't just be happy with eating, drinking, enjoying few pleasures and then dying. Try to find out what is true, what is reality, what is what we really are. Master Sirio used to say, we are spirit in human body. We are not a human body with a spirit, but we are spirit in having temporarily a human body. It's like a dress, which is given to have some experiences, and then we give it up when we die. So let's learn something of our own. Don't just believe, experience. My master used to say, don't be a Christian, be a Christ. Don't be a Buddhist, be a Buddha. Don't be a Hindu, be a Krishna. Don't be a Mohammedan, be a Muhammad. Don't be a Jewish, be a Moses. So don't just be happy believing. I don't believe anything. I only believe what I have experienced in my life. I understand they're all descriptions of the same reality. But it's their own thing. I want my own thing. So experience truth, and truth will make you free. So to end this meeting, I'll sing another song. And then maybe I can do just a little bit, some 10 minutes of meditation. So we relax a bit and we find some peace. You can all sing. Aja piyare Satguru aja apni surate menu vakaja aja piyare Satguru Mura piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja sonamata chiti pagari nore chamake arive lagari sonamata chiti pagari nore chamake arive lagari ankia prema piale varia borvote nure pallete aja aja piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja julfa teriya resham tara nure ilaidiya den chamakara julfa teriya resham tara nure ilaidiya den chamakara ikke bale sire devoto dove alam baraja aja piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja mukra suava sajjadun bani sunne sunne pava kanantani shani mukra suava sajjadun bani sunne sunne pava kanantani shani rasile beniati mituri boli mittavanne tappate irvedi aja aja piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja suci dari chati te ave bagi ho nure bare save suci dari chati te ave bagi ho nure bare save la namadi bapa imare garibi sikvana bare aja aja piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja aja piare Satguru aja apni surate menu bakaja. So, in order to meditate, we should close our eyes and try to withdraw from all outside. Try to withdraw from the environment we are in, from the body below, and try to be fully conscious, fully aware. The song we just sang says, "Come, beloved Satguru, come, show me your face. Your beautiful, beautiful face, your divine form." So, that should be our attitude when we seek meditation. We should invite this Supreme Satguru, this Supreme Reality, Supreme Being, to please come and dwell within us. So as I said, we try to forget everything about where we are, this body in which we live. Forget the past, forget the future. Try to be fully here, present, in the living present. So, the outer expression of our soul is the attention, which is in Hindi is called surat. We have to activate this attention and make it very sharp. For doing so, we need to focus it at a certain spot in our body. The place from where the soul leaves the body at the time of death is the third eye, which is called also the 10th gate, from where we exit the body when we die. If you look at somebody dying, when he breathes his last, his eyes will be upturned, looking up, because it's from there that the soul leaves the body. So it's here that we have to concentrate, and we have to try to activate this third eye. When we activate the third eye, then the inner vision opens, the darkness fades away, and the light comes. So let's try to look steadily, minutely, penetratingly, in the middle of what we see just in front of our forehead. And keep looking there. With full attention, with full concentration. When you look at something which you like, beautiful sunset, beautiful flower, you're kind of enchanted. You don't think of anything. In the same way, when we look at this spot, we should try to be as enchanted, fully focused, fully there. To help ourselves further, instilling the mind, we can repeat a mantra. If you're used to repeat any mantra, you can do it. Otherwise, you may repeat Satnam, Radhaswami. So we should have a look, a glance, steadily concentrated in the middle of what we see, fully involved in looking, and at the same time, slowly repeat the mantra. This way, the mind will be peaceful and won't wander away. If you're able to keep our attention like this, so well focused, then the inner vision will open. The darkness will go, and the light will come. And when the light comes, then we keep looking in the center of it. This way, we become bright, shining. And we transmit to us a blessing, kind of intoxication, kind of ecstasy. So let's try to meditate like this for a while and see what happens. If anybody wants to ask anything, you're welcome. So, I hope the meeting was pleasant for you, was meaningful, you felt good. The purpose of these meetings is to make you feel good. That's it. One may feel good, or one may feel excellent, but if at least we feel good, that's enough. So thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you. And I wish you the best. I wish your life to be happy and fulfilled.